Guys, this is S&P 500 weekly technical analysis for the week of July 14th. In the recent week, the S&P 500 and the entire US stock market was trading under pressure. However, the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner the entire US stock market still managed to sustain bullish because the long-term trend is bullish, the short-term trend is bullish, and this bullish trend or this bullishness is expected to continue in the coming week, means the week of July 14th. Why and how? So first of all, what we know is that the earnings season is going to begin from July 15th. July 15th will be Tuesday. The banks are going to post the earnings, and generally it's a non-technical thing, but the earnings season is always seen as bullish in nature. And then the earnings of the banks will set the course for the remaining of the month and also for the next month. However, at the same time, the entire US stock market will remain volatile. This volatility will be because of the earnings and also because of the trade war or the tariffs. And the best example is the recent week. So in the recent week, again and again, the S&P 500 and the entire US stock market was struggling. But at the same time, it was sustaining. It was not going down. It was sustaining. There were very fair chances, very good chances on Tuesday. Especially after the formation of this red candle on Tuesday, that the S&P 500 now can come down. But on Wednesday, everything has changed, and since then, it was sustaining bullish. So if you notice on Monday, the high was 6262 and the low was 6201. So if you notice, this was my first update to my Patreon community members on Monday, and all of the conditions I mentioned here, that the entire US stock market is under pressure because the Dow Jones is trading in the open equal to high condition. And on Tuesday we have seen a very limited movement. In the bull side, high was 6242. In the bearish side, the low was 6217 only on Tuesday. And in this, the midday update to my Patreon community members, and the S&P 500 will trade in between 621x, my level, and 624x, in between these two. And you can see exactly the S&P 500 traded in between those two levels. However, on Wednesday, there was the open, and the open was above 623x at 6243. This has changed the picture. And because on Wednesday the S&P 500 initially was seen in the open equal to low condition, so now the S&P 500 is going to trade in between 623x and 626x, 626x and 623x for the entire day. That's it. So if you notice, on Wednesday the low was 6231, and the high was 6269. Now, why I am discussing this the fall, bearish movement, this bullish movement, because we need to know that why the S&P 500 has sustained, because exactly the same thing is going to help the S&P 500 in the next week, wherein we are expecting a bullish movement. Any fall will then again be based on the conditions that were seen in the previous week. This is why we need to know why the movement was like this. That is why on Thursday the open was again above 623x. The S&P 500 was supposed to trade in between 624x and 628x. And the 626x will act as tiebreaker in between 624x and 628x. Yesterday, the S&P 500 for the entire day, it traded in between 626x and 623x. All of this indicates that the S&P 500 is going to trade bullish in the next week only and only if something comes, specifically because of tariffs, otherwise technically, and because of the earnings season also, the S&P 500, the entire US stock market is going to trade and sustain bullish. So guys, I am going to discuss all of these conditions, the bullish condition, bearish condition, fall, key levels, etc. in this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis in detail. So guys, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones and in a manner to the entire US stock market, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now guys, let me tell you that I have divided this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis in three parts. Okay, first part is the weekly chart, means I will discuss the weekly chart. I will show you the technicals, the movement, the candles, okay, and why we are anticipating more bullishness. Okay, and in one case, okay, this bullishness can be limited, rather we can see more fall. All of these are conditions on the weekly chart. Second part is the daily chart. Daily chart means the short-term picture. Okay, so I'll show you the daily chart, the technicals on the daily chart, the candles, the movement, okay, on the daily chart, the key support levels, okay, etc. Then third one is the probable movement. Probable movement means what is going to happen to the S&P 500 in the next week. Okay, whether it will trade bullish or bearish, what will be the conditions for bullishness, bearishness, key levels, etc. Everything. And guys, one more thing, all of these three parts, weekly chart, daily chart and probable movement, are interrelated, are interconnected. Okay, so in order to understand the probable movement, okay, it is recommended that you should watch all of these three sections, including the weekly chart and the daily chart section. So now guys, I am going to discuss the weekly chart. Okay, weekly chart section. Now weekly chart means one candle represents 1 week, not 1 day or 1 hour. Okay, one candle means 1 week. Now here on the weekly chart, let's first discuss the candle. If you notice the last candle, okay, it's a red candle, okay, or a thin candle, but the most important part of the candle is the heavy retrace from the bearish side. The heavy retrace from the bearish side, this is the most important part. Also the closing price was 6259.75 and the open price was 6259.04. This is the weekly chart. Okay, so this means that on Monday it opened at 6259.05 and on Friday it closed at 6259.75. okay, closing price is above the open price. And also there was heavy intra-week retrace from 6201, okay, and the closing price is in the upper half of the candle, that too above the open price. All of these conditions indicate bullishness, allows bullishness, technically allows a gap up open, or irrespective of any open and initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday. Okay, and also for the entire week, this pattern, this condition allows bullishness in a manner that even if the S&P 500 failed to move up, then also it will remain in a condition wherein it can refuse to give up. Okay, now there will be conditions for the bearish movement, okay, and that will actually depend on the levels. Okay, so that I will discuss later, but for now it is clear through the candle because of these conditions. Okay, on Monday a gap up open, or irrespective of any open, an initial or intraday bullish movement, and if all goes well, okay, then on the weekly basis also there will be bullishness. And if you notice, this was the final update yesterday. Okay, and in the point number 2 of the final update I have mentioned, okay, and those who have not yet joined my Patreon community, let me tell you that the final update is given around 1 or 2 hours before the closing of the stock market. So I mentioned that if the SP500 closes in between, okay, the open price yesterday, that was 6255.68 and 6279.36, then it will be a heavy bullish condition and we can expect a gap up open on Monday, or irrespective of any open, an initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday. And if all goes well, then on Monday there will be a green candle. Okay, now this condition will become heavily bullish if the Dow Jones also closes above its open price of 44,384.46. However, Dow Jones has failed. Now let's analyze the candle of the Dow Jones, the last weekly candle of the Dow Jones. Now there is a big problem here. Okay, and what is this big problem? The weekly candle of the Dow Jones, it's a heavy red candle. Okay, heavy red candle. Other than that, the Dow Jones on the weekly basis closed in the open equal to high condition. Means the open price on Monday was 44,803.36 and that was the high for the entire week. Okay, heavy red candle and then this candle. So this indicates an initial or intraday bearish movement on Monday. No bullish, no gap up open, no initial intraday bullish movement, rather a bearish movement. And if you have watched the previous S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, then I mentioned that if the S&P 500 remains hesitant to breach, to try for its previous all-time high, in that case it will be really problematic for the S&P 500 to move up, and then S&P 500 will have to struggle even if or when the S&P 500 try to move up. Okay, but even in that case the fall in the S&P 500 is expected to be limited. Okay, so it was actually the Dow Jones that has created a problem for the S&P 500. Okay, so you can watch the probable movement section of the previous S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. Okay, I've discussed this condition very clearly. Okay, now anyways, in this case an initial or intraday bearish movement on Monday. Okay, because of these two conditions in this the Dow Jones. Now this is something very unusual, because generally what we see is that that both of the indices S&P 500 and Dow Jones, okay, they give like kind of same indication, if that there will be a gap up or the bullish movement, or there will be a gap down or the bearish movement. So this means that on Monday, okay, definitely there will be some we will see some hesitation, some struggle, okay, in both of these the indices or in the entire US stock market. But even with this struggle or hesitation, we are expected to see a bullish movement or the bullishness. Now this will be more clear through the technicals. So now let's analyze the technical indicators. But guys, before that, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And so far, if you have liked this video, then hit like to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now in terms of the technicals, the S&P 500 is absolute bullish through the Ichimoku cloud, moving averages and the Bollinger Bands on the weekly chart. And also the S&P 500 is absolute bullish through the MACD and the stochastic RSI on the weekly chart. And as of now on the weekly chart, S&P 500 is neither saturated nor overbought. Okay, so none of these conditions are present. This means that the S&P 500 is 100% absolute bullish on the weekly chart. This was the reason why the S&P 500 was able to sustain or did not come down heavily, okay, because the technicals were heavily supporting the bullish movement. Now let's analyze the Dow Jones. Dow Jones is also absolute bullish through the Ichimoku cloud, moving averages and the Bollinger Bands on the weekly chart. And the Dow Jones is also bullish through the MACD and the stochastic RSI on the weekly chart. And again, no overbought, no saturation, okay, none of these the conditions. So this means that the Dow Jones is also 100% absolute bullish on the weekly chart. Both of the indices S&P 500 and Dow Jones are 100% absolute bullish on the weekly chart, indicating that whenever there will be a condition when we can say, or we can expect, or we can see that the stock market is struggling, okay, is struggling to get a direction, then by default it will get the bullish direction, because bullish is the trend. Okay, if it failed to move up, then it won't give up either. Okay, definitely there will be condition, there are the levels, but through the technical, through this, okay, the 100%, okay, it has the bullish movement, it has the bullish momentum, okay, everything is supportive of the bullish as of now. The only negative or the bearish factor that can be seen or that will be there, okay, it will be earnings. Okay, however, earnings are generally, as I mentioned, that earnings are taken as positive. Okay, so if the banks, specifically JP Morgan, okay, if the JP Morgan, okay, the earnings of the JP Morgans are not as per the expectations, and it shows some distress, or okay, or some struggle, okay, or something like that, means the numbers are not good, that will be the case wherein we can expect some bearishness in the market, okay, because JP Morgan is one of the biggest banks, okay. Now other than that, on Tuesday the inflation data, okay, the CPI, core CPI data will be released, so that will be there. But the biggest challenge or the biggest problem for the Wall Street or for the entire US stock market is the tariffs, okay. Actually it is not the tariffs, it is the uncertainty because of the tariffs, not the tariffs themselves, but the uncertainty, because no one still knows what is going to happen, how much tariff, how much percentage of this the tariff will be there, reciprocal tariffs will be there. So uncertainty, okay, because of the tariffs is actually creating a problem or is bringing the bearishness. Otherwise technically the market is bullish, absolute bullish. And the best part is that the S&P 500, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, okay, or the entire US stock market is neither overbought nor saturated. This means that technically it is not in a compulsion that it should give up or it should come down, okay. So these are the factors there. However guys, whatever is going to happen in the next week, I will keep you posted, I will keep you updated through these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire US stock market, if you are my Patreon community member. And if you are not, then let me tell you that every day I gave these the updates, means from Monday through Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I give the pre-market analysis. Pre-market analysis is given 1 or 2 hours before the open of the stock market. Then the midday update is given after 3 hours. Then the final update is given 1 or 2 hours before the closing of the stock market. And that's not all, because I also give the stock market opportunities in the premium stocks, in the top 30-40 companies of the US stock market, the premium stocks, the blue chips, okay. And I give minimum 5 to 10 opportunities every week. And that's not all, because I also give the midweek update. Now this midweek update is basically a video technical analysis, okay, is given generally every Wednesday, okay. So in this the midweek update, I disclose all of the numbers and everything, just like, okay, every day in the updates. So guys, whenever you want to join my Patreon community, I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. And guys, when you follow that link, then you will see that this is my Patreon page and this is my Patreon profile. And here you will see this, the button, see membership options, okay. And when you click on this, the button, see membership options, then you will see that there are these 3 levels, level 1, level 2, and level 3. And guys, this level 3 is very special, because whatever you are going to get here in this level 1 or level 2, by default that you will get, by default you are going to get that here in this level 3. And guys, if you notice, many people have joined my Patreon community for last many days, weeks, months, years, and they are getting these daily precise updates every day from Monday through Friday, pre-market analysis, midday update, final update, stock market opportunities, midweek update, and they are very well aware of what is happening, why that is happening, and what is going to happen next. So guys, whenever you want to join my Patreon community, then I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section, and you can follow that link and you can join my Patreon community, and you are welcome. Now guys, I am going to discuss the second part, that is the daily chart. Daily chart means one candle represents one day, not 1 week or 1 hour. One candle means one day. Now let's first analyze the candle. If you notice, the S&P 500 has sustained and retraced, and the closing price is more than the open price, means the closing was above the open price. And all of this indicates that S&P 500 has sustained, okay, and that on Monday we can expect an initial or intraday bullish movement. And also considering the pattern, okay, considering the pattern, we can also expect a gap up open on Monday, okay. This means that through the daily chart, the candles and the patterns of the candles, all of this, a gap up open on Monday or an initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday, right? Now Dow Jones. Well, Dow Jones, the situation is not as good as means what we have seen in the S&P 500. And here, if you notice in the Dow Jones, now it's a very thin, a very limited candle, okay. The good thing is that there was an intraday retrace, intraday bullish retrace, Okay, so candle itself is weak, not supporting any bullishness, but when we look into the pattern, then the pattern is supporting the bullishness. Means an initial or intraday bullishness on Monday. Initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday. Okay, this is what can be seen through the Dow Jones. So now both of these indices confirm that on Monday there will be an initial or intraday bullish movement. Okay, even if there comes a fall, then also the market, the indices will resist, will hesitate to lose. Okay, and again will recover, will try to recover. Okay, so now considering the weekly chart and the daily chart, it is clear that the S&P 500 is supporting the bullish movement, a gap up open, and also an initial or intraday bullish movement. Just like what I mentioned in the final update in the point number 2 yesterday on Friday. Okay, a closing in this condition means a heavy bullish condition, a gap up open, or an initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday. But from the Dow Jones, there is no support because Dow Jones is now kind of neutral, because the Dow Jones is supporting bearishness through the weekly chart and bullishness through the daily chart, means it is neutral. This means that Dow Jones is going to follow the trend, S&P 500 is going to follow the trend. Okay, and if all goes well, then there will be a green candle on Monday. Okay, a green candle on Monday. Now this green candle will depend on these levels, 2 levels. Okay, so that I will discuss in the next point of the agenda. Right, candles are clear. Now let's analyze the technical indicators and the picture will be more clear. Okay, so guys, before that, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And so far, if you have liked this video, then give a thumbs up, hit like to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now, in terms of the technicals, what we can see here is that the S&P 500 is bullish through the Ichimoku cloud, through the moving averages, through the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart, and the S&P 500 is bullish through the MACD on the daily chart, and the S&P 500 is a little bearish through the stochastic RSI on the daily chart. Okay, so last week S&P 500 was trading in the saturation and the overbought conditions. Okay, so it was supposed to cool down its technicals, and it did actually on Monday and Tuesday, so that was the good thing. But as of now, the technicals are good. The saturation levels, it is not saturated. Okay, so in this manner, the S&P 500 will be seen or considered as 80% bullish on the daily chart, because the stochastic RSI is bearish. Okay, and not just bearish, but is good bearish. Okay, now the Dow Jones is also bullish through the Ichimoku cloud, moving averages, and the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart. And the Dow Jones is also bullish through the MACD on the daily chart and is bearish through the stochastic RSI on the daily chart and is out of saturation, out of overbought. Okay, that was seen earlier, in the beginning of the week. So this means that the Dow Jones is also 80% bullish, 80% bullish on the daily chart. Okay, so yes, we can now see some weakness. Okay, and the most important thing is that the MACD is not trying to go bearish. However, it might take a minimum of 2 days before we can see actually the bearish crossover in the MACD. If that happens, if the bearish crossover is seen in the MACD, then the stochastic RSI is already bearish. Okay, and once both of these are aligned bearish, then we should be ready to see some good fall. Now, what does this mean that the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones are 100% absolute bullish on the weekly chart and are 80% bullish on the daily chart? This simply means that the market is in the bullish trend. Market is expected to remain bullish, is expected to trade bullish. Any fall will be handled, will be limited, and then a bullish recovery. So this is how the technicals help us to understand the movement of the market, and help us to predict that what is going to happen next. So guys, for that, I want to share this information with you. This is my S&P 500 knowledge transfer program. Okay, and through this program, I share whatever I know, whatever I have learned, in last many years of my practice and research, everything analysis. So I will share each and everything through this program. And the name is S&P 500 Knowledge Transfer Program. But whatever you are going to learn here, whatever I am going to teach here, will be applicable to any stock, any index, okay, any crypto, any currency, or any commodity, or anything that is traded in the stock market. And it is not just limited to the US stock market, but to any stock market, global stock markets, European stock markets, okay, Asian stock markets. Because whatever I'm going to teach here, okay, are the very basics, the technicals, the fundamentals. So I will teach you the basics and the advanced, okay, of the stock market, then the technical indicators, okay, that you can apply on any chart, okay, irrespective of the index or the stock, okay, or the country, okay, or anything. Okay, I will help you set up your charts, then the trading strategies, okay, I will tell you, okay, how to use these the trading strategies, okay, but in an advanced manner, okay, in a different manner. Then the market analysis, how to analyze the market, okay, how to understand the movement, okay, and the traps. Then the options and options strategies, okay, including the premium calculator. So I will cover the basics of the options and the advanced, basic and advanced of the options, okay. And I will teach you how to use the calculator, option premium calculator, okay. And also I will show you, okay, the live calculations, and I will tell you that how accurate these are. Then the support and resistance levels for next 5 years. Then the price prediction, how to know, okay, the price, that what will be the high in this side, what will be the low in this side, okay. So recently again and again I mentioned that 614x will be the all-time high. It was recently 606x, okay. 2 or 3 weeks ago I mentioned that any bullish retrace will be limited to 606x. It will come down to the confluence zone, will sustain, will recover back, and then one closing, and then more movement, okay, above 614x, okay. So these kind of things. Then trend analysis, how to analyze the trend, okay, in detail. Then the how to analyze the manipulation and how to convert the trap into the opportunities. Then the hacks, short-term hacks, long-term hacks, okay, intraday hacks, okay. So all of this is something that I use in my daily predictions. And guys, these are some basic terms and conditions, okay. These are the snapshots of the meetings. So guys, whenever you want to participate in this program, whenever you want to learn, okay, all of these are technicals, and you want to become self-reliant, okay, independent trader, okay, for the rest of your life, and you want to trade with confidence, okay. So guys, if you have any questions that you want to ask related to this program, or if you want to participate in this program, okay, then this is my email address, okay. And also I have given the link to this Google spreadsheet in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now guys, I'm going to discuss the third part, and this is where I'm going to discuss the probable movement. Probable movement means what is going to happen, okay, in the S&P 500, in the Dow Jones, Nasdaq, or in a manner in the entire US stock market in the next week, okay. I will discuss the conditions, okay, for the bullish and bearish movement, the key levels, okay, these things. So next week is going to be heavily volatile. Why? Because Tuesday onwards, okay, the earnings season will begin, okay. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citibank, okay, these are going to post the earnings, okay. Until Friday the situation will remain same. Every day the banks are going to post the earnings, okay. Then on Tuesday the inflation data will be released. The earnings are there, inflation is there, inflation data, and the tariffs are already there, okay. This something means every day something is happening new in the tariffs. This means heavy volatility in the market. Now here the most important one that you can say is the Tuesday. Yes, definitely Tuesday, because the earnings of the banks, okay, and the inflation data, both of these conditions on Tuesday. Wednesday, Goldman Sachs will release the earnings, will post the earnings, okay. Pre-open means before the open of the stock market. Now because Goldman Sachs is one of the top contributor to the Dow Jones, this means that whatever happens in the Goldman Sachs will heavily influence the movement of the Dow Jones. When the movement of the Dow Jones will be influenced, then it will then influence the movement of the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, okay. So this means Wednesday, okay. Then comes Thursday or Friday, okay. The retail sales data will be released. Retail sales data, okay. This will be again a very important data, Okay, pre-market it will be released, and then it will tell us, okay, where the market is heading to, or where the market will be heading to. Okay, the retail sales data. In this manner, the next week is going to be heavily volatile. Now, how to convert this volatility into the numbers? Because you simply cannot trade based on this high or low volatility. You need to know the levels, numbers, zones. Okay, these are things. So here you need to understand, S&P 500 has recently made a new all-time high at 6290.22. Although it failed to close above the previous all-time high, that was 6284.65. Okay, so it made a new all-time high but failed to close above the this is a recent all-time high. But this will not matter. Okay, and this is exactly the same that I mentioned on Thursday also. Okay, in the midday update and in the final update to my Patreon community members, that even if there comes this kind of condition, that then that also will not make the situation worse or make the situation bad, because okay, this is happening after 1 2 3 4, after just after 4 days. Okay, if this would have been seen after 1 month or 2 months, then definitely this would have triggered a fall. Okay, but now in this case it is not, because see, it is simply indicating continuation of the bullish movement and limited fall. Okay, now last week I mentioned that my key level is 6299. Okay, this is my calculated level. S&P 500, okay, will be trying for the 6299 in the next week. Okay, now how soon it will be trying for the 6299, it will be very much clear on Monday itself. Okay, on Monday in my midday update, okay, I will clear this thing, that how soon we can anticipate this to happen. Because as of now we are expecting a gap up open on Monday, or if not a gap up open, then initial or intraday bullishness on Monday. This is what we are expecting, okay, on Monday to happen. Now if there comes a gap up open, S&P 500 opens in the 6 to 7x range. Okay, or if the S&P 500 opens in the 6 to 6x, 6x, okay, it opens in the 6 to 6x, and there is my key level in the 6 to 6x, it open above, okay, or recovers, regains and sustain above the 6 to 6x on Monday within the first hour, then intraday on Monday itself there will be heavy chances that S&P 500 is going to test the 6299, because the technicals are also supporting, the technicals are already supporting this bullishness or this bullish movement. Okay, it just needs a little push, that's it, and then it will be heading to 6299, it will test the 6299. Okay, so bull side it will be 6299. Okay, and as of now this is the recently formed, this is the all-time high level 6290.22. It is not going to create any problem as such, because it is in the continuous bullish movement. Okay, so it will not be considered much, rather the market, the S&P 500 is allowed to trade and remain bullish and to go bullish. Okay, now the 6299, okay, it will decide, it will tell us whether the S&P 500 has any chances, okay, for more movement in the 6300 range. As of now 6300 range is in the picture. Okay, in the 6031x, 631x or 632x, okay, we are anticipating an early block. What kind of block? This kind of block. It will move up, block, it will come down, okay, will be sustained, then we'll try to move up. This kind of block. Okay, this block can also be seen or can also be considered as the all-time high. Okay, if the tariff okay, this picture is not clear, if there comes more uncertainty, okay, and the earnings fail to impress, in that case, okay, this will be the all-time high. The exact number, okay, I will share when it will be moving up, okay, to my Patreon community members, and we can anticipate a fall, okay, from that number, means a break and okay, all of this. So this will be there, okay, this will be there in the bull side. Now One more thing you need to understand that the the Dow Jones is actually creating a problem and will create a problem to the S&P 500. How and why? So for that you need to look back into the weekly chart of the Dow Jones. The weekly chart of the Dow Jones says that the last weekly candle of the Dow Jones was in open equal to high condition. Okay, and what was the open price? Open price was 44. Open price or the high price was 44,803.36. Okay, this means that even if the S&P 500 try to move up, it cannot move up heavily until and unless Dow Jones comes out of this condition. Means until and unless Dow Jones breaches, there must come a breach. Okay, there must come a breach of 44,803.36, the open and the high of this candle. Only when there comes a breach, then only there will be more bullish sentiments that can help the entire US stock market to remain bullish, to trade bullish and to go bullish. Otherwise there will be a problem. Okay, this is very, very much clear, because last week also it was the Dow Jones that was keeping pressure on the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. Otherwise S&P 500 and the Nasdaq were free to move up, especially after giving these two bearish candles. Okay, especially after coming into giving a gap up open. So only Wednesday, because of the open above the 623x, okay, everything has changed. Otherwise it was supposed to give up a little more and then intraday retrace and then more bullish movement. Okay, so this means that the bullishness in the entire US stock market depends on 44,803.36. Okay, now yes, this can happen because there is always some disconnect in the indices. Okay, this can happen that S&P 500 may test, okay, or hit the 6299 and we can see that the Dow Jones is still struggling, okay, and has not breached the 44,803.36. this can happen. Okay, so that's not a problem. But for more bullishness, for more bullish momentum, for more bullish movement to happen, the Dow Jones must breach this 44,803.36. Now what happens after 44,803.36? Then it will be heading to its all-time high, that was 45,073.63. then this will be the next hurdle, okay, for the Dow Jones. And only when the Dow Jones clears and gives at least one closing above 45,073, okay, .65, its all-time high, the entire US stock market will get a bullish boost. It will get a bullish boost in a manner, okay, that the level that I'm saying that 631x or 632x that is there, okay, that can trigger, that will restrict the bullish movement. Okay, S&P 500 will come into a condition it can even breach. Okay, although for 1 to 2 days it will struggle, okay, here, but then, okay, after 1 or 2 days it can breach and it can move up. Okay, but for all of this to happen, the Dow Jones must fulfill, number one, this condition 44,803.36, and then its all-time high and one closing above the all-time high. One closing is, it is must, it is a compulsion. There must come one closing above 45,073.65. A breach and a closing below this level will be considered as failure, okay, not a success, right? So this is the condition for the bullishness. What about the bearishness? Well, bearishness, yes, okay, definitely bearishness can be triggered. Okay, now for the bearishness, the same logic will work. Okay, what logic? It is the same 44,803.36. if the Dow Jones never breaches this mark level or this number 44,803.36, it never breaches. It tried to, but it never breaches, remains below, okay, in this condition, then the entire US stock market will remain under pressure, will trade under pressure. Now situation will remain under control as long as S&P 500 is holding and sustaining, okay, at the 623x level. situation will remain under control, situation will remain heavily bullish, absolute bullish, no matter that whether there are red candles or the green candles. 623x, okay, is the key level here. It is the key. Okay, so yes, if the S&P 500 start to give closings below 623x, okay, then what will happen? Then the MACD you are seeing here, okay, then in next 2 to 3 days, okay, we will see that MACD has gone bearish. There is a bearish break, there is a bearish crossover in the MACD, and the MACD of the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones has turned bearish. Stochastic RSI is already bearish. MACD will be bearish, then both of these two will trigger heavy fall in the S&P 500 and in the Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire US stock market. Okay, yes, one more thing, this is about the saturation. If the S&P 500 keeps on moving up, okay, then at earliest like Wednesday, okay, it can hit the saturation levels, not before Wednesday, provided there comes 2 green candles back to back on Monday and Tuesday. Then only on Wednesday it can hit the saturation levels, okay, otherwise not. So yes, so bearishness means the 623x is that level, okay, is the key level. Now what if it loses the 623x, it comes down, okay, then what will help the S&P 500 to hold and sustain? Then that will be the 618x level. This is my calculated level, okay. The earlier it was so after 623x, only the 618x has the power and the capacity and the capability to hold the fall, okay. Intermediate, yes, there is a level, there is a small level, okay, in between these two, and again and again on Monday and Tuesday also we have seen that although it closed below 623x, but it closed above 621x. This was something that was helping the S&P 500 to hold and sustain on Monday and Tuesday, okay. This has actually saved the S&P 500 from coming down to 618x, okay. So this is the 621x, okay, here. Now as such, because the bullishness is there, bullish conditions are there, this means that any fall should be limited or should be up to 618x, okay. Technically this is true, okay, considering the earning season, this is true, okay. What can actually trigger a heavy fall in the S&P 500? Okay, very simple. Inflation data, number one, means CPI, core CPI data, that will be released on Tuesday. And number two is the obvious, the tariffs. So now when I say the tariffs is specifically tariffs, okay, to Canada, Mexico, China, okay, Canada, Mexico, China, India, okay, Vietnam. I think Vietnam is now very much clear, okay. These 5 countries, Canada, Mexico, China, these are the top 3 countries, okay. Canada, Mexico, China, and okay, these are 2, India and Vietnam, okay. Then these 2 countries. European Union we can say, okay, but that is not much, okay, but primarily Canada, Mexico, China, okay. So impact of tariffs or anything that says that more tariffs on these 3 countries, specifically three countries, and the most importantly is the China, okay. So this can trigger the fall, okay, that we have seen earlier in the month of April, okay. In that case technicals won't be able to help much, okay, although technicals will resist the fall, okay, will try to hold the fall, okay. But if the situation does not improve, then definitely there will be, you know, like for 1 or 2 days it can hold, then but the next day it will give up. Otherwise technically up to 618x is there, so that's not a problem. Yes, one more thing, there may come a condition wherein the S&P 500, because if the condition in the Dow Jones does not improve, okay, then in that case there will be the next support zone. But guys, before that I forgot to mention that if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon, And so far, if you have liked this video, then give a thumbs up, hit like to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire US stock market, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. So after 618X, it will be, okay, let me just clear. 623X is the key level. Okay, it is the key level. 618X, in between these two there is one, that the small level. Okay, after 618X, okay, it comes down to the zone. This zone is in the 614X. Okay, there is a small and heavy zone in the 614X. Okay, means if the situation deteriorates, if the condition deteriorates, then also the S&P 500 has back-to-back heavy support. This is the 618X is the level, 623X is the level, but 614X is a zone. It is a zone. Okay, so back-to-back S&P 500 has these the heavy support levels and the zones. Okay, now one more thing. If the S&P 500 loses, or whenever the S&P 500 loses and closes below 623X, this means that situation is turning bad. Situation is not bad, but it is turning bad. It is turning bad. It comes down to 618X, finds support, gets a retrace. Okay, and this should happen in this manner. But if the S&P 500 loses the 618X, closes below the 618X, means the situation is bad. Now the situation is bad. Okay, fine. It comes down to the zone 614X, the zone. Hold, sustain, gets a reversal. Fine, not a problem. Loses the zone. There comes a closing below the zone. Situation is now turning to the worst. And we should be now ready for the 5,000 range again. Okay, in this manner, we are going to interpret through the levels, okay, the situation, okay, and how bad or good the situation is, whether there will be bullish movement, or the bearish movement. This is how we are going to know, okay, through these levels. But once again, no matter what, it will be the Dow Jones. Specifically, this is the level of the Dow Jones, 44,803.36. Okay, and then the all-time high level. For the bullishness to happen, okay, principle is very, very simple. Okay, sustain above, breaches and sustains above, and then finally breaches and closes above the all-time high level, the Dow Jones. Then this will bring more bullishness, more bullish sentiments in the entire US stock market. Okay, if not, then bearishness. Okay, bearishness will be means a normal bearishness, or bad, or worse. Okay, in these three categories, you can understand, okay, these three categories through these levels. Okay, however, if you are my Patreon community member, then you need not to worry about, okay, any of these, because every day I will give you these daily precise updates, levels, numbers, means what is happening and what will happen next, and you can make changes to your trades accordingly. So guys, I hope this is clear. And guys, hit like if you have liked this video in order to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you have any questions that you want to ask, then please feel free to ask your question through the comment section. And if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon.